What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sins here. Thanks for stopping by to check out today's video. Today I'm taking a look at a relatively new release. This came out late last year, late 2022, so just, I don't know, 5-6 months ago, something like that. So it's not super new on the market. It's a decently well-known line and brand, but I think it's gotten lost in the shuffle, and that is Eternity Parfum by Klein. So when we come back, I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of this flanker, let you know whether it's worth picking up or avoiding altogether. Got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Hello again and welcome back everyone to today's first impressions video. This is I hesitate to call it new release, and that's why I don't have the asterisk by the word new in the thumbnail. It's not brand spanking new, and it's probably not a fragrance that you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to hear reviews about. Again, it came out late last year. I actually purchased it. I've talked about it a little bit, but I ended up giving that bottle away. So I got a brand new one and want to give you guys finally my first impressions. Take a few moments to give you my first impressions of Calvin Klein's Eternity Parfum. Now historically, Eternity has been one of those fragrances that's garnered a decent amount of attention. It's been around for a good bit, long enough for Calvin Klein to kind of pour some attention and money into regular releases, and so everyone was kind of looking for them to follow suit in the whole parfum trend. And so today we're taking a closer look at Eternity Parfum. In typical fashion, we're going to first take a look at that presentation. Eternity for Men, the Parfum edition, comes in a black box. The writing Eternity for Men in white at the top and Parfum and Calvin Klein in white at the bottom. The sides of the box have no information. On the back of the box you've got ingredients information, address information, and other various stickers. On the bottom of the box you have a UPC, a QR code, and of course the batch code. The batch code of this one is 2203. The top of the box says Calvin Klein in white. Now the Eternity bottle is exactly the same as it's always been. It's one piece. There is no lid that pops off. The atomizer and pump is built into the top of the lid, and you just depress it and the juice comes out of the white aperture on the front. The pump and the atomizer is silver. It is plastic. The bottle itself is I would say a light orange color. It says in black Eternity for Men at the top, and then Parfum Calvin Klein at the bottom. On the very bottom there's a transparent adhesive sticker reiterating that batch code of 2203. The bottle is 100 ml, and of course it is Parfum in concentration. The bottle is exactly the same. There's nothing new, nothing fresh or edgy about the actual presentation. It in fact reminds me of a flanker that I like, which is Flame, Eternity Flame. Looks very similar. Difference is the words are black, whereas they're white, and it says Flame in the middle, and it just simply says Parfum at the bottom. If you like that Eternity DNA and you want something that's a little bit more spicy for cooler weather, Flame is very inexpensive flanker. Definitely want to check out, but we're talking about this one today. What about the Parfum edition is going to be different than what we're used to? Eternity did have, not that long ago, an Eau de Parfum version, an EDP version. It was actually pretty good, so I'm looking for this to be a bit better, and it's extremely different in terms of the notes. So now that we've looked at the presentation, the juice may or may not be colorized because you can't tell because the bottle is colorized. Perhaps the reasoning behind the coloration of the bottle, and it is this particular color, is that the idea that inspired the fragrance is a chance romantic encounter at sunset. And so this is kind of like a sunset color when the colors are kind of getting more dull and things are darkening quite a bit as the sun is setting. So the DNA is very different in terms of the notes. So before I do a smell test and give you guys my first impressions there, what are the notes that make up Eternity Parfum? Eternity Parfum features top notes of lavender and mint, with heart notes of rum and bourbon vanilla absolute, resting on a base of patchouli and cedar wood. So there you have it. Lavender and mint opening. You've got rum and bourbon vanilla absolute in the heart, and very simply patchouli and cedarwood in the base. So Relatively simplistic scent profile, albeit there may be notes in here that are being left out and that aren't published. But now that we kind of know what's in it, let's give it a quick smell test then. Of course, the atomizer is the same as all of the Eternity. It's built in. You just push it and it throws out a decent amount. It's definitely a rummy, boozy winter version of Eternity. Definitely. So that's kind of pleasing. We've never had a rummy, boozy, winter, cold weather version of Eternity. So now we have it in the Parfum edition. So think of nighttime, think of date night. That's the territory that Calvin Klein is attempting to pass into with this flanker. Have they succeeded? My nose is so experienced now with smelling so many different fragrances on so many different varying levels of quality that when I smell a fragrance that's relatively inexpensive, and there's a difference between cheap and inexpensive in terms of quality, I can tell, I can pick it up right away. And this is a relatively inexpensive kind of smell. That's not saying it's bad, so please don't take that as me saying that this is a bad, cheap fragrance. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I can definitely smell that there's a quality difference in this than another. Say, for example, another inexpensive, boozy, rummy fragrance that I can just think of off the top of my head that I just gave away, which was Azzaro Solarissimo Favignana. This doesn't smell like it even has the quality of that fragrance. Even though it's a boozy, vanilla, cold weather fragrance, it manages to have that kind of fresh, soapy Eternity, that clean, soapy Eternity DNA. So that's interesting that they were still able to infuse that into the fragrance in this particular obviously cold weather flanker. Skin is the true test. You know, you can use a litmus, it can tell you only so much. It's kind of a flat reading, but skin is more like a 360, 3D kind of olfactive reading of a fragrance, and it's the best way to go always. There is an interesting component about this that some people might use the term synthetic. They may not be wholly wrong in saying that, but it's kind of a derogatory connotation. I think maybe fabricated is another term that I can use that's not necessarily, that doesn't have the derogative connotation. It's almost like a fabricated olfactive experience. Of course, technically all fragrances are fabricated olfactive experiences when they're trying to smell like something, to give you this experience through your sensory perceptions of smell. But there's something about this where, and it's, I think the way they've come across, the way they've infused the Eternity DNA in the Parfum edition is just very soapy clean. And I've not smelled a boozy, rummy, vanillic fragrance that has had quite the kind of ebullience in terms of soapy fresh that this is. And that's actually a compliment. It's probably the biggest thing that I noticed right away. That soapy fresh kind of fabricated experience. Some would say synthetic, I'll say fabricated. It's very heavy on the rum and vanilla. That's the biggest combination that we've got going on here. Rum, vanilla, there's a light wood base in the background that's obviously carrying it, just a light woody cedar wood. So really what's giving it that kind of soapy freshness that's lasting, and what's kind of eye-opening about this particular boozy fragrance, kind of rummy fragrance, is the lavender and mint opening. That mint gives it kind of a sparkle that you're not used to getting in a boozy. Most boozy fragrances are just smooth and on a singular linear level. This has a bit of brightness in it, and that's that mint. That's that lavender mint combination. It's really nice. It's really nice. It's very different. I like it. Overall, I think it's definitely going to be worth a buy. Of course, it's Calvin Klein, so look for the price to drop dramatically. Probably dropped already. I purchased this for under $50, so at that rate it's very well worth it, and at the rate that it's gonna be in 6 months, you'll definitely want to pick this up. It's got some good attributes to it. Again, if you're a lover of Eternity, you'll like how they kind of infuse it into a more cool weather date night version of Eternity. Well, that's it for my first impressions of Calvin Klein's Eternity Parfum. You can pick it up on the cheap. I've left links below for you to purchase it if you're interested, and you can also maybe get samples. If you see it at a department store sitting out, definitely spray it on your skin and check it out. That's always going to give you the best idea of whether it's good for your body chemical composition. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out today's first impressions. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.